On June 14th, 2015, a Facebook account belonging to a Springfield, Missouri woman named Clauddine Blanchard, known to everyone as Dee Dee, posted a single status update. 4 words. That bitch is dead.
Now, the thing you have to understand is the people who saw that post knew Dee Dee Blanchard. And the one thing everyone agreed about Dee Dee was that she categorically did not talk like that, ever. She's a cuss jar type of person. So their first thought wasn't something's wrong. It was her account got hacked by someone who really appreciated The Wizard of Oz.
Wow, I like it.
Rhymes, this is all I'm saying.
Well, they commented, they called, they got no answer. And then finally, someone called the Greene County Sheriff's Office and asked them to send a car out to the little pink house on West Volunteer Way, just to be sure.
Deputies arrived to a house that was quiet, locked. The air conditioning was running hotel room cold against the Missouri summer. Inside, it looked like a small makeshift medical clinic. Pill bottles lined up on the counter in Elvis-like fashion. A wheelchair by the door. Stuffed animals lining every surface like your crazy aunt's house.
And in the back bedroom, they found Dee Dee Blanchard, 48 years old, face down on her own bed, stabbed 17 times in the back. Now, she's been dead for several days.
But the thing that turned this from a murder into a statewide emergency wasn't Dee Dee.
It was who wasn't there. Because Dee Dee Blanchard had a daughter, Gypsy Rose, 23 years old. And Gypsy was one of the sickest young women in the state of Missouri.
She had a medical journal of issues: leukemia, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, severe asthma, vision and hearing problems, brain damage from a premature birth that doctors had been told left her with the mental capacity of a small child. She couldn't even walk. She had a feeding tube. She had an oxygen tank. She took a fistful of medication every single day just to stay alive. It was a tragedy. The type of condition that gives you carpal syndrome from all the fist wagging you do to God.
And the thing is, she was gone. Her wheelchair was still in the house. Her medications were still in the house. But Gypsy, she wasn't.
So picture what the sheriff's department is now staring at. There's a beloved local mother and she's been murdered in her bed. And her dying, wheelchair-bound, medically fragile daughter, a girl who cannot survive a single day without help. She's vanished, taken, presumably by whoever did this.
An Amber Alert went out that night, and the entire region started praying for the same thing, that they'd find Gypsy Rose alive before her body gave out.
You have to understand who these two were in that town, Kathryn, because Dee Dee and Gypsy, they weren't just neighbors. They were Springfield's heart.
You couldn't miss them. Dee Dee pushing the wheelchair, always smiling, never complaining, and Gypsy inside it. Tiny, bald, big glasses, dressed sweetly, waving at everyone like a little girl at a parade. They went to every church event, every fundraiser, every barbecue.
And the backstory was almost too tough for a human being to comprehend. The Blanchards had lost everything in Hurricane Katrina like they had bet it all on red. Their home in Louisiana, all their belongings, every single one of Gypsy's medical records, all of it washed away in the flood. As if Gypsy hadn't had enough, God had decided to put their house on an all-natural water slide.
My gosh. All right, wow. Well, they arrived in Springfield with nothing, and Springfield gave them everything.
And we do mean just about everything. Habitat for Humanity built them a house, a custom-built home with a wheelchair ramp and a jacuzzi to soothe Gypsy's failing muscles like it was ready for a Cribs episode. The Make-A-Wish Foundation sent them to Disney World. The Shriners covered medical bills. They got concert tickets, backstage passes, Miranda Lambert herself. In the midst of this tragic condition to Gypsy, they kept smiles on their faces, Space Mountain in their memories, and Miranda on their speed dial.
And nobody resented a dollar of it, because Dee Dee Blanchard was, by every available measure, the most devoted mother any of them had ever seen. She slept in hospital chairs. She memorized medical terminology. She fought for every accommodation her daughter needed and never asked for a thing in return.
People in that town said it out loud, constantly. I don't know how she does it. She's a saint. If anything ever happened to Dee Dee, what would happen to Gypsy? Certainly couldn't do what she does. And also probably, maybe a little bit more quietly. Did you hear they got a jacuzzi and Miranda?
Oh, wow. And now, in June of 2015, they had their answer. Something had happened to Dee Dee, and Gypsy was missing.
Here's what blew the doors wide open. Those Facebook posts didn't come from inside that pink house. Did we mention they also painted it pink for Gypsy's favorite color? The cybercrime unit traced the IP address, and it led somewhere nobody could expect. Seriously, it was an apartment in Big Bend, Wisconsin. The population, 1,300, 500 miles away.
Wisconsin deputies got the address and moved in carefully. As far as anyone knew, they were about to walk into a hostage situation, a murdered mother, an abducted disabled girl, a killer who'd driven her across state lines. They braced for the worst.
They knocked.
And the door opened.
And standing in the doorway, on her own 2 feet, was Gypsy Rose Blanchard. The grift was up.
Not in a wheelchair, not on oxygen, not bald, not a fragile child, standing, walking, talking, looking the deputies dead in the eye.
Sheriff Jim Arnott would later tell the press that Gypsy could walk, and I'm quoting the official statement, she could walk very well, which I think is implying that felonious behavior was about.
And in that one moment, in that doorway, the most beloved story in Springfield, Missouri, stopped being true.
All of it. The wheelchair, the feeding tube, the leukemia, Katrina, the need for a pink home, the love of Miranda, when Trisha is just so much better. All lies. 23 years of it.
Sneaky footsteps in the night, clues that vanish out of sight. Grab your hat and magnifying glass. We'll talk this case and have a blast. Mugshot Mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know.
So let's go back to the start like this is a Tarantino movie, because everything we just told you in Act 1, the version Springfield believed, almost none of it was real.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was never sick. Not leukemia, not muscular dystrophy, not epilepsy, not asthma, not brain damage. She could walk. She could eat. She had a completely ordinary mind. She had been, her entire life, a healthy person being told she was dying.
By her own twisted tea mother.
Gypsy believed it. She told ABC News later, "I did believe my mother when she said that I had leukemia. She thought the medication she was being given was cancer medicine. When her mother shaved her head, she was told it was because her hair would fall out from chemo anyway."
She was Al Cowlings. She was not a co-conspirator. She grew up genuinely believing that she was going to die young. Imagine being a child and carrying that luggage around.
So how does a thing like this start? Well, it starts small. It starts in Chack Bay, Louisiana, where Clauddine Petre was born in May of 1967.
She married young. She got pregnant at 24 by, well, she kind of robbed the cradle. She got pregnant by a 17-year-old named Rod Blanchard. They had met at a bowling alley bar. The marriage didn't last, as many of bowling alley bar hookups don't. Gypsy was born in July of 1991, and Dee Dee took the baby and ran.
And the medical story started almost immediately. When Gypsy was 3 months old, Dee Dee told doctors the infant had sleep apnea. The test found nothing. So Dee Dee moved on to a chromosomal disorder, then brain damage. Then, as Gypsy grew, the list just kind of kept growing with her.
According to Gypsy's stepmother, Christy Blanchard, Dee Dee worked as a nurse's aide and was stealing prescription pads quickly. She was using them to get medications that would actually produce symptoms like, well, medications are known to do. So when a doctor looked at Gypsy, the child was unwell because she had been made unwell. As you can see, she was a great mother.
Yeah, right. Totally great. But that's the part that moves this from lying into something much darker. This wasn't a mother exaggerating a sniffle. This was a mother medicating a healthy child into looking sick.
Then came the move that erased evidence. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit. The Blanchards were displaced, and Dee Dee told the relief workers that the flood had destroyed all of Gypsy's medical records. Conveniently, boom, they now have a natural disaster for an alibi.
Which is the perfect cover. There's no paper trail, no prior doctors to call, no history to contradict. A sympathetic shelter physician arranged a medical flight to Missouri, and they landed in Springfield as Katrina refugees with a dying daughter and a clean slate.
And then it accelerated like a sports car. Over the years, Dee Dee took Gypsy to more than 100 different doctors, like she was playing some game of Dr. Pokemon and she had to catch them all.
Wow. But like also 100.
100, yeah. I don't even know how you can see 100 doctors. It took me 3 months to see one. Surgeons operated on her eyes. Someone removed her salivary glands, which I gotta say sounds truly horrific.
Yeah.
A feeding tube went in. Anti-seizure medication rotted her teeth, so her teeth came out. And Dee Dee, she Walter Whited her head every week to keep up the appearance of chemotherapy.
Did you just have a Breaking Bad reference in here?
I did.
Well, and here's a detail that tells you everything about the control. When Gypsy got her first period at 13, she was scared. She was crying. And instead of explaining anything to her, Dee Dee asked her to use diapers. Not pads, diapers. Because a sick little girl wears diapers. A grown woman with a body of her own does not.
Every choice served this story. The story was, this is a dying child who will never grow up. And Dee Dee enforced that on Gypsy's actual body like some horrific chiropractor.
So the question everyone asks, the question that makes people furious is, how did 100 trained medical professionals miss this?
The answer is some of them didn't miss it. Say what you will about doctors, but by all measures, they are incredibly intelligent people. In September 2007, one such smart doctor, a pediatric neurologist in Springfield named Dr. Bernardo Flasterstein, he examined Gypsy for a muscular dystrophy diagnosis. He ran an MRI and did blood work. Guess what? Everything came back normal. He had Gypsy stand up and surprise, she held her own weight just fine. He called her old doctors in New Orleans and learned her original muscle biopsy had been negative, which means the diagnosis had been false from the very start. He was onto her.
He told Dee Dee to her face, I don't see any reason why she doesn't walk. And in his own notes, he wrote that he suspected the mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
And then he did a really stupid and lazy thing for a smart person, and he did not report it.
Dee Dee stormed out, told his nurses they didn't know what they were doing, and never came back. He never followed up. He later said he wished he had done more. So this was less about smarts and more about being just, a tad bit lazy. But then there was also a second doctor in 2009 who got suspicious enough that he did call the authorities.
And nothing came out of that either.
This is what makes Munchausen by proxy so uniquely dangerous, and it's worth talking about. Most child abusers hide the harm. They cover the bruises. The whole crime is concealment. But this abuser does the exact opposite. She walks the child into a hospital and displays the harm, and the system thanks her for being so attentive.
There is even a clinical red flag for it. When experienced doctors find themselves saying, I've never seen a case like this, that sentence is supposed to raise a bullshit meter all the way up to a 10. Dee Dee gave doctor after doctor a case that they had never seen, and most of them just kept ordering tests because, can I retract the smart doctor thing?
Well, you can, but it may have also been a case of overworked without proper time to do more. They had 100 chances to stop it, and Gypsy stayed in that chair. Now, here's what almost no version of this story spends enough time on. Gypsy's awakening. Because she didn't go from compliant sick child to planning a murder in just one leap. It took years, and it started with the smallest possible observations.
So she obviously had been told she couldn't walk, and at night when her mother was asleep, guess what? She'd get up and walk to the kitchen and make a sandwich or something. She did this because her freaking legs worked just fine.
She'd been told sugar could send her into a fatal allergic reaction, so she'd sneak candy and wait to feel sick and feel completely fine to her delight.
Just like you, a little sugar is all you need. A spoonful of sugar. She was, in effect, running a quiet experiment on her own body like some mad scientist. And the results kept telling her her mother was full of it.
But, and this is the heartbreaking part, she had no framework for it. She didn't know the words Munchausen by proxy. She didn't even understand it as abuse. She just knew, slowly, that her mother was lying about something very fundamental. And when the only authority figure in your entire world is the one constructing the lie, my mom is lying, is a terrifying place to be stranded.
Then, around 2011, two things busted it wide open. First, Gypsy got a hold of some of her own paperwork, Medicaid documents, and she saw her actual birth year because Dee Dee had been telling everyone, including Gypsy, that she was about 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was 19, a legal adult. She'd been an adult for over a year and didn't know it.
Then she met someone, a man she connected with online. For the first time in her life, she told another human being the truth. She told him she could walk. She said it out loud via keyboard and mouse. And guess what? The sky, it didn't fall at all.
So in February 2011, she tested the door. She waited for Dee Dee to fall asleep, slipped out, and went to meet him.
She was free for all of 4 hours.
Dee Dee tracked her down by morning, showing up with the police and a stack of paperwork claiming Gypsy was a mentally disabled minor who'd been lured away by a predator and performed the whole hysterical, grieving mother routine until everyone handed Gypsy back.
And what happened when that front door closed is the moment this stops being just a con and becomes some residential Shawshank.
Dee Dee smashed Gypsy's phone and computer. And then, by Gypsy's account, she chained her to the bed. For about 2 weeks, Gypsy had to beg to use the bathroom. Her mother ate in front of her and refused to feed her.
When the restraints came off, the new rule was delivered. If you ever run again, I'll take a hammer to your fingers. Bells went up on every door and window like this was a Quickie Mart. And Dee Dee told the neighbors Gypsy was having mental episodes and to report anything unusual straight to her.
She turned the people who loved them into a surveillance system.
So, unfortunately, I get to tell the next part. This is real. It's in the documentary record and Gypsy's own testimony. Dee Dee, now full-blown Carrie's mother mixed with Ann Wilkes from Misery. And yes, Kathryn, that's 2 Stephen King characters because he's beloved. Well, and are you ready for the next part?
I'm not sure, but let's go.
Okay, well, Dee Dee took a raw cow's tongue, a photo of Gypsy and the man she'd run into, and a vial of Gypsy's menstrual blood, and she buried them together in a jar in the backyard. She told her daughter she had cursed her, that if Gypsy ever tried to love anyone else, she would rot from the inside out.
Well, that's very Louisiana of them. All right. Like, what the heck? Well, unfortunately, Gypsy believed it for years. Think about what it takes to make a person believe that. You have to have control every single piece of information that has ever entered their life.
So, in 2012, when Gypsy met a man named Nicholas Godejohn on a Christian dating website, she wasn't a girl looking for romance and some scripture lessons. She was a prisoner who had tried the front door once, gotten dragged back, and chained up for it. She was looking for a more inventive way out.
So let's talk about Nick, because he matters and because his fate is its own tragedy. Nick was from Big Bend, Wisconsin. He'd been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder as a child, spent his whole school career in special education, and by his attorney's account, had an IQ of 82. He was deeply lonely. He had almost never connected with anyone.
And again, Kathryn, it's me who has to tell the next story.
Yep.
Because it relates to McDonald's. In 2013, before any of this, he had a run-in with police. He was arrested at McDonald's because there is always a McDonald's in these stories.
Always.
Bless their hearts.
Always.
This one was in Wisconsin, and for 9 hours, he was watching, well, porny stuff on his laptop. And they also found a folding knife on him, like some creepy cherry on top to this story. The charges were eventually dropped. I bring it up only because it tells you how very isolated and deeply unwell he already was when Gypsy found him.
I mean, can we pause there and go back to 9 hours?
9 hours. I don't know if he had breakfast and lunch.
I just have so many questions.
I'm sure the people working there did too.
I don't know that I want the answers, but I have so many questions. Yeah, okay, so online, Nick told Gypsy that he had a violent alternate personality named Victor. He almost certainly invented him. It was a story he offered to a girl who needed a protector, and she needed it badly enough to believe it. 2 profoundly damaged people, each becoming exactly what the other one was looking for.
God, it sounds just like us.
Whoa, dude. No.
We fill in the gaps for each other.
Well, that's true.
They managed to meet in person once in 2013 at a movie theater during a showing of Cinderella of all things, except she wasn't leaving behind a shoe. She was leaving behind a seed, and this seed would quickly grow into murder.
I'm pretty sure she was also dressed as Cinderella for that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting fact.
Yeah, well...
Somebody saw the documentary.
Yeah.
I like to go into these things cold.
Well, here's the thing. It took 2 years for that seed that was planted for it to get to maturity. But finally, the plan had formed. Gypsy asked Nick, she asked Victor to free her permanently. You know, the kind of plan you don't undo.
In June 2015, Nick took a bus from Wisconsin to Missouri. Gypsy left the back door unlocked and left the kit hidden in the bathroom. Gloves, tape, and a knife Nick had mailed ahead so he wouldn't have to carry it across state lines. Now, I'm not a criminal, maybe except that one time I didn't rewind my movie rental, but I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
On the night of June 10th, Dee Dee went to sleep. Gypsy let Nick in and then went into the bathroom, shut the door, and covered her ears.
Nicholas Godejohn stabbed Dee Dee Blanchard 17 times. The autopsy later found defensive wounds, which tells us she woke up.
And she called out to my name about 3 or 4 times. And at that point, I wanted to go help her so bad.
They had took some cash and a few valuables and went back to Wisconsin. Nick mailed the knife to his own home. And then, for days, nothing happened. The body sat undiscovered.
And this is a part that I think people get wrong about that Facebook post. People read, "That bitch is dead," and they think it's a taunt, they think it's a celebration, they think it's a killer gloating. Now, I could be wrong, and Gypsy could just be a bold-faced liar, But
it wasn't. Gypsy testified under oath that she made the post because she couldn't bear the thought of her mother's body lying in that house undiscovered for weeks. She wanted Dee Dee found. She wanted her to have a proper burial.
It was, in her own strange and terrible way, the most caring thing left in her. She had just had her mother killed, and she still couldn't stand the idea of her decomposing alone.
The post did exactly what it needed to. The IP trace, the deputies drove to Big Bend, and the door opened.
So here's where I want to take us somewhere most tellings of the story don't go, because we're hard-hitting here at Mugshot Mysteries. Everybody knows what Dee Dee did. Almost nobody seriously asks, why? And not why as in excuse-making, why as in, what fucks up a person to this degree?
The clinical name for what Dee Dee had is Factitious Disorder Imposed on Another. The older name is Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and I want to give people the real shape of it because it's pretty badly misunderstood.
So let's go over the numbers first. Somewhere between 91 and 98% of perpetrators are women, and in the large majority of cases, it's the biological mother. It is genuinely lethal. In confirmed cases, the child dies in up to 10% of them.
10%. So when we say Gypsy survived this, that's not a figure of speech. She survived something that kills 1 in 10 of its victims. The wheelchair and the feeding tube weren't the worst case outcome. The worst case is a small grave.
Ooh, that's dark.
Yeah.
And the thing is, primarily it's not about the money. Yes, Dee Dee got free house and Disney trips, unless we forget about Miranda Lambert. But researchers who study this are very clear. The payout isn't financial, not like when women murder their husbands. It's sympathy.
I like that you found that funny.
It's the identity of the resolute mother. It's standing in a hospital hallway while everyone tells you what a saint you are and how nice your dress looks, and all of this while your child suffers.
There's a chilling diagnostic marker for it. Perpetrators often show visible disappointment, even anger, when a test comes back normal. Good news is the threat. A healthy child is a problem to be solved. Sit with how upside down that is, everybody.
Here's a part I do find illuminating, and it's the angle I want a listener to walk away with. Where does a person learn that illness equals love? Researchers who interviewed these mothers keep finding the same things in their histories: disorganized attachment. And this means they grew up with a parent who was both the source of their comfort and the source of their fear. So they never learned a good way to be cared for. And very often, a childhood where physical symptoms, real or performed, were the only thing that got them attention.
And now look at Dee Dee's own mother, Emma Petre.
Dee Dee's own family describes Emma as a woman who was, by their account, always sick, always in bed, always complaining of ailments, always hovering over her children with strange, controlling rules. Dee Dee's nephew Bobby Petre said outright that he thinks Dee Dee watched her mother harvest sympathy and attention from being sick and learn that lesson.
So there's a real possibility that Dee Dee didn't invent this machine, that she just grew up inside a version of it. She was the daughter once of a mother who used illness to control the room. And then she grew up and built the same machine with her own daughter strapped into it.
There's even research findings that fit well here. In one study of these mothers, almost 2/3 had experienced the death of a close family member. Bereavement seems to be a trigger. And Emma Petre died in 1997, which is around that era that Dee Dee's treatment went full batshit and treatment of Gypsy escalated hard. She went into a wheelchair, the breathing equipment, the full performance.
The timeline is consistent with everything that research describes. The grief didn't soften her. It seemed to have fed the disease.
And one more fact. More than half of people who impose illness on another, they also impose it on themselves. They fake their own conditions too. And Dee Dee, she did exactly that. She claimed her own ailments, her own diagnoses over the years.
So the picture isn't a cartoon villain who woke up one day and decided to torture a child for a free house. The picture is something sadder and more frightening. A deeply disordered woman, probably shaped by her own mother, who experienced her daughter's suffering as the one reliable source of love that she had ever found, and who would not, ever let that source run dry.
That's the architecture of suffering. It's a house that gets passed down. Emma built one version, Dee Dee built an even worse one. And the idea is, will the house finally collapse with Gypsy?
Because here's the other thing the research tells us, and it explains so much of how Gypsy has talked about her mother since. Survivors of this kind of abuse very often experience what's called trauma bonding. The same person who hurts you is the only person who has ever cared for you. So your brain fuses the love and the harm into a single knot that you can't untie.
Which is why, Kathryn, to this day, when Gypsy is asked about Dee Dee, she doesn't give you a clean answer everybody wants.
She said, and I quote, "I don't believe my mother was a monster. She had a lot of demons. I didn't want her dead. I just wanted out of my situation. And I thought that was the only door."
I didn't hate her.
You wanted her dead?
Yes, but it was not because I hated her. It was because I wanted to escape her.
That's not a contradiction. That's what they call a trauma bond. Both things are true inside her all at once. She destroyed me, and she's my mother. And she has spent her whole adult life trying to hold both without coming apart. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a very exaggerated version of many mother and children relationships.
So Missouri had a problem that the legal system is genuinely not built to handle. Because everything we've told you is true at the same time. Gypsy Rose Blanchard was, for 23 years, a victim of severe sustained abuse.
So let's talk about the law, because by the letter of the law, she was a first-degree murder co-conspirator. She unlocked the door. She supplied that kit. She knew exactly what was about to happen. She wanted this and orchestrated it like some murder musical.
By any human reading, she was a young woman who had been chained to a bed, told she was cursed, medicated into looking like a cancer patient, and convinced she could not walk, trying to escape the only way she had been left able to imagine.
The prosecutor's office made what they thought was a very reasonable attempt at figuring this all out. They offered Gypsy a plea, second-degree murder, 10 years, the minimum they could possibly justify. And the prosecutor said very plainly, no jury is ever going to send this young woman to death row after seeing that wheelchair, seeing the bald head, seeing the feeding tube, and just seeing all that terribleness.
Now, Nick Godejohn got no such deal. He went to trial in 2018. His defense argued that he was a low-functioning man with autism who had been manipulated into the crime. The jury convicted him of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life without parole.
Now, Nick chose to do it. He brought that knife into the room. There is no version where he's innocent, and he was not the architect. This kid was a profoundly troubled McDonald's porno-watching man who had never been loved, was handed a script by the one person who'd ever told him he was a hero. It was very Manson-esque, which is why Kathryn is over there locked in.
Hey, I said the case is interesting and you make a good point, but this does reek a bit like old Charlie. Like Manson's followers, the man who never had anyone will die in prison, and the woman who planned it served the bulk of a 10-year sentence. Whatever you feel about that, it is not a clean piece of justice. Nothing about this is clean, so I guess you can clean the plate as best as you can?
Now, what happened to the woman at the center of it?
Well, Dee Dee Blanchard was cremated, and her own family in Louisiana refused to claim the ashes. When a reporter asked Dee Dee's father, Claude, what should be done with his daughter's remains, he answered, flush them down the toilet.
Which is just cold-blooded. That's a eulogy from her own father. There isn't a second sentence. And honestly, Kathryn, knowing what we know about Emma, about that whole house, even that line has a sadness underneath that venom. This was a family that produced this more than once and then wanted nothing to do with the result.
The pink house was sold, and the new owners painted it a soft blue and tore out the wheelchair ramp. A normal family lives there now, and people still drive past it to take pictures, which Gypsy has publicly asked them to stop doing. She said, "A tragedy happened in that house, yet y'all visit it as if it was the Grand Canyon."
Oh man, that Southern was waiting for you.
It was.
Yes, many episodes. You just needed a chance. And Gypsy herself, because people always want to know, where is she now? She is, after all, the star of this show.
She was paroled on December 28, 2023, walking out of the Chillicothe Correctional Center in the early morning on her own 2 feet. And the years since have been, by any measure, a lot.
Ready for it?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's say TMZ has had material for days and years. She became a public figure overnight, millions of followers, a reality series, memoir. She married a man she met as a pen pal while she was inside. That marriage obviously ended in divorce, and it was finalized at the end of 2024. She reconnected with an earlier partner, Ken Urker, and in December of 2024, she had a daughter. Her name is Aurora.
And this is where the whole story turns into a real, open question rather than a closed case. Because Gypsy Rose Blanchard is now a mother. The girl who was raised inside a fabricated illness is now raising a real child.
And there's actually a genuine medical wrinkle to all of this. Gypsy carries a rare genetic condition after all, a real one confirmed, this time. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She and Urker have said publicly that they're being careful about it. They're planning around it for any future children, and they're making sure Aurora was tested.
Which is the most quietly hopeful thing in this entire story. Because the one thing Dee Dee never did, not once in 23 years, was tell Gypsy the truth about her own body. And here's Gypsy, on the other side of all of it, making sure her daughter knows exactly what's real.
Emma built a house. Dee Dee, she built an even worse one. And the question this case actually leaves us with isn't, was Gypsy a victim or a killer? She was both. And we should stop pretending those things can't coexist like some absurdist pie.
The real question is whether the house gets passed down again. Whether a woman who grew up inside a lie can raise a child inside the truth.
And we don't know yet. Nobody really does. She's in the middle of writing it. And everyone is watching like this is the Truman Show.
Gypsy was a victim every single day of her life until the night of June 10th, 2015. On that night, she became something more complicated, and she will carry that for the rest of her life. Both of those things are true. They were always going to be true.
Dee Dee built a prison and called it love. And the only blueprint Gypsy ever found for that exit was one she had pieced together from inside that cell. Which is to say, it was always going to have her mother's fingerprints on it, along with the fingerprints of a knife that would end her life.
The blueprint had a corpse in it because the building did.
Somewhere in Louisiana right now, there's a little girl named Aurora who will grow up knowing the truth about her own body, which is more than her grandmother ever gave her mother.
It's not redemption. It's not a happy ending, but it might be where the cycle finally breaks. And that was our episode. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star review. Unlike some diagnoses in this story, that one should be completely voluntary.
Wow.
And if you'd like to see behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mugshot Mysteries Podcast. But before we go, as always, what did we learn today, Gabriel?
Well, we've learned that all you moms be crazy. JK, you're all fantastic. We have learned that the most dangerous people are those pushed into a wall, unable to escape, scared but resolute. And we have learned that humans are complicated machines affected by the infinite variables present in their anatomy and developmental environment. What comes out of this mishmashed experience is as varied as existence itself.
Sneaky footsteps in the night, clues that vanish out of sight. Grab your hat and magnifying glass. We'll talk this case and have a blast. Mugshot Mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists and turns that never fail. Laughs and chills, it's quite the show. Who did it? Tune in to know. Gem, a secret note, a shady figure in a trench coat. The clock is ticking, the plot gets thick. We'll crack this puzzle quick as a click. Mugshot Mysteries, we're on the trail. Twists peace in this crazy maze. Fun and thrills wrapped in crime.